Thanks Mike, Graham and Chris, and indeed everyone at the MTC for hosting the event and giving me the opportunity to give this speech today. Now, given that I'm addressing an audience who are pro-robot and pro-automation, I wanted to let you know that I'm with you. Indeed, when I led a debate in Parliament that was just mentioned about the economic benefits of automation, I said in that debate, I hope that in today's debate I have spoken up for robots and for automation, because they are not the dystopian usurpers of human inspiration and productive labour. They are, in fact, the enablers of it. Now, the Minister responding, perhaps Parliament's best and most amusing orator, Chris Bryant, and he really is, he normally gets Shakespeare quotes into any answer, so I do thoroughly recommend you check Chris out. Chris Bryant said in reply to me, "Finally, somebody speaks up for the robots. We have been waiting for centuries. The robots have been clamouring outside, waiting for the moment when somebody would speak up for them. And I'm sure that they will be delighted about the way that my honourable friend, the member for Rugby, has done so today." Well, I hope that some of the robots out there might be listening in and perhaps they'll give me their verdict later. Look, what do I think about this very important topic? Well, I believe that automation is not a threat to our economy. Indeed, it's one of the greatest untapped opportunities that we have. From boosting productivity to creating high quality and high skilled jobs, automation can power our growth, competitiveness and resilience. But for reasons I'll touch on, the UK is, unlike in so many other areas, sadly not yet a true world leader. There are a few problems relating to automation. One of them at the most basic level is that automation and robotics conjures up, for some, a deep-set series of primordial fears. It's the fear of the march of the robots, of Terminator, and perhaps at a less hyperbolic level, of the machines taking our jobs, particularly in manufacturing. Even the language we use is pejorative. We often describe someone walking or talking oddly as robotic. And in politics, we're forever told that what we need more than anything else are more politicians who say it like it is, and fewer robotic politicians reading off talking points and the dreaded key messages. And I should know, as I used to be a partner in a strategic comms consultancy, so I know all about that. So I will try and be the opposite of robotic and not sound or appear like an automaton while delivering a speech defending robotics and automation. So here we go. As I prepared my speech in Parliament, I did do some research, and as far as I could tell, automation and robotics has not in recent years, perhaps decades, been debated in the House of Commons. So my debate was either a first or definitely the first in many years. The argument that I advanced then and will do so now is one that, while not being novel or groundbreaking for this learned audience here today, versed as you are in the joys of automation, it was and is a relatively new concept and not particularly easy to grasp for some in Westminster, but also beyond in the world of industry and commerce. You could say that it can be uncomfortable for some to hear and to act on it, and some of these points will have been alluded to earlier in what Mike said. First, there are some, perhaps even some on the left of politics, dare I say, who fear the effect of automation on jobs. Now, I want to dispel the myth about robots stealing jobs. It simply doesn't stack up. In the UK, unemployment sits at around 4.4%, similar to the US, where it's about 4.2%. But the United States has 300 robots per 10,000 workers, more than double the UK's figure. The same is true for Japan, where the unemployment rate was just 2.4% in February of this year, despite it having 419 robots per 10,000 workers. In South Korea, the trend continues. Unemployment stood at 2.9% in March 2025, even with an impressive 1,012 robots per 10,000 workers. Automation replaces tasks, not people. And in so doing, it creates better paid and more fulfilling jobs. The current situation in the UK, according to the latest International Federation of Robotics figures, shows just how far British manufacturing has to climb in terms of automation adoption. The UK is now 23rd, as has been mentioned, in the Global Robot Density League, with 119 robots per 10,000 workers, compared with the global average of 162. We've also dropped out of the top 10 global manufacturing nations, sadly, and are now 12th place. Our global competitors are investing heavily in productivity, and sadly, in too many cases, we are falling behind, notwithstanding what my ministerial colleagues, and far more importantly, what industry itself is doing. But the pro-automation debate can also be uncomfortable for other audiences. In my view, the UK is lagging behind for three main reasons. First, a reluctance to invest in capital equipment. Secondly, perceptions of complexity and high upfront costs around robotics and automation. And thirdly, a lack of confidence and clear guidance, especially among small and medium-sized enterprises. This view has been expressed to me by leading trade associations such as Automate UK and the Manufacturing Technologies Association, as well as the MTC. They're calling for government leadership to break down the barriers and deliver a national framework to accelerate adoption. But you will note that it can also be argued, I think with some justification, that some businesses choose not to invest sufficiently in automation because perhaps they prefer short-term profit or shareholder dividends over long-term investment. And this is a problem that goes back many decades, sadly. While knocking on doors ahead of the last general election, several months ago, I believe, 11 months ago, I met a young entrepreneur who has a small robotics and automation systems business. I wonder if he's here today. He certainly should be. He wanted to expand his business, but he wasn't aware of what finance was available to make the capital investments that he needed, nor of how he might take on an apprentice or two. So I helped as far as I could by signposting him to the right people. But it does show, I think, a lack of cut-through regarding support for automation. After that debate in Parliament that I've spoken about and that I led, he got in touch with me to say, I'm the guy that you mentioned. Now, I've got to say, as a politician, we do a lot of talking. And it was really lovely to hear from him, actually, because it was a great relief to know that at least one person was watching that debate. And indeed, that people do watch parliamentary debates and follow social media because you put this stuff out into the void and often you're not quite clear about how much of an impact it has. And indeed, someone from the Manufacturing Technologies Association was physically in the room and spoke to me afterwards in Parliament. And we've subsequently met and have discussed these issues at length. And that's just an example of how important debates like the one I led and conferences like the one that the MTC have organised are for the networking that Steve and Mike referred to. Now, the reason for my evangelism about automation is that I've seen the potential firsthand on visits to companies in my constituency. For example, Fanuc UK, I think I saw them outside, the London Electric Vehicle Company, which is on this site, and the MTC here at Anstey Park. I also recently visited the Carlsberg's Britvic plant in Rugby. Now, not many people know this, I certainly didn't before I was elected, but that plant in Rugby is the UK's largest manufacturing site for soft drinks. And it's one of the top 5 in Europe. And as you can imagine, in a plant like that, automation is very, very much used. So I'm proud to represent and champion all of the businesses and indeed this place, the MTC, who are in my constituency. And I'm privileged to represent a place that has such an incredible industrial heritage, a wonderful industrial and innovative present, but I believe a really great future where the MTC and others will be critically important in driving forward the debate and the changes and the reforms that we need to make sure that we maximise the potential that we all can see. So I've seen in person how automation transforms jobs, shifting roles towards programming, maintenance, and process design. I've also witnessed firsthand how automation, due to its requirement for high-skilled workers, stimulates company investment in skills development with apprenticeship programs, outreach to schools, and sponsorship for competitions. And FANUC UK, as some of you will probably know, is a long-standing sponsor of the World Skills UK Industrial Robotics competition. And of course, here we are today in the MTC's superb training centre, and they are one of the leading organisations providing apprenticeships in the UK, and that's a very, very important thing. Talking of apprentices, I've met them at FANUC, at Carlsberg Britvic, LEVC, the MTC, and elsewhere, and I've seen in their eyes the excitement and enthusiasm they feel. They're training to become the masters of the machines, unleashing economic potential and enabling new innovations to be born and to grow. And when you see these companies and organisations, you of course see the automation, the robots, the automated processes, but really the greatest privilege of being an MP is to meet the humans who maintain, design, program, and run these systems and enable their businesses to both thrive here at home, but also, one hopes increasingly, to trade around the world. Another concern raised with me by businesses that I've visited is that some companies do not want or are unable to invest in automation, so cannot expand to meet the demand for their products and services. However, some solutions are already underway. The MTC is taking a leading role in the debate about automation, and it's having an effect. It's providing independent advice to help businesses on their first automation journey. And it's opening a new robot experience centre, giving companies the chance to test, trial, and learn in a risk-free space. The MTC is also focusing on upskilling and reskilling, with targeted workforce development, especially for SMEs, which are, of course, the backbone of our economy in Rugby, but also nationally. It's also driving the West Midlands Robotics and Autonomous Systems cluster, helping to build a strong regional ecosystem. It's incredible that the phrases you end up speaking as an MP, that's high up my list. The West Midlands Robotics and Autonomous Systems cluster. So this is the kind of support that businesses need, and it's replicable at scale. Now, I know that my colleague, Richard Parker, the Mayor of the West Midlands and regular visitor to the MTC, is well aware of your work here and of the businesses in my constituency. And I look forward to working with him as he works with national government to unleash the potential of our region and of my constituency. And there is a huge prize available to the UK. Make UK estimates that if we... Was that a robot? Stop. Make UK estimates that if we scale up our SME manufacturers, we could add 83 billion to our manufacturing output, lifting us to 7th in the world rankings. But to deliver that, we must double our robotics adoption by 2030. Across the country, people young and old have the aspiration to utilise automation to chart new manufacturing territory. Notwithstanding the excellent work of organisations such as those I've already mentioned, or those who are exhibiting outside, and many others, there is more to be done to educate people about the benefits of automation and to provide the ecosystem needed with more skills, training, grants, and networking opportunities, and through this, to empower people. And as I mentioned earlier, events and conferences like this are vital, and I commend you for organising it, Mike and the team. But one thing that I've learnt in politics and in life is that just because something is a good idea, it doesn't necessarily mean that it will happen. And bizarrely, sometimes the better the idea, the less likely it becomes that it will be adopted. So in my parliamentary debate, I urged the Minister to work on a clear roadmap to match our competitor industrialised nations on robotics and automation, with specific attention to SMEs, which make up 95% of UK manufacturing. I argued that the roadmap should aim to address perceptions of automation, lack of knowledge about procurement and accessibility to finance, which is, of course, as we all know, a problem in the UK and one that our friends in the United States do not really have in the same way. To drive productivity, create high-quality jobs and unlock growth, I asked the government to develop a national programme to supercharge automation adoption, and I'll do all I can to facilitate ministerial engagement with the MTC team and others to explore the MTC's successful model and how it could potentially be rolled out across the UK. Now, one of the themes that I've been developing myself recently is the concept that what is needed in many areas is what I term a responsibility revolution. I've written an article about this, and it's available via my Substack, so please do sign up. Please do sign up. And you'll get an automated newsletter. I'm really sorry about that pun, but it will send you something in an automatic fashion, but I will have written it. Okay. Look, I strongly believe that politics is at its most successful when all stakeholders work together, and that together we can achieve so much, and we can turn challenges that we know that we face, and heaven knows we face a few now, but we can turn those challenges into opportunities. So as a Labour politician, you won't be surprised to hear that I believe in a more active state than perhaps the last government did. When you believe that good democratic government can improve things, can correct broken markets, challenge vested interests and other things, then you must surely believe that it has a moral responsibility to seek to do this. So I was delighted by the Chancellor's spending review last week and the government's commitment to 190 billion in day-to-day spending for our public services, as well as 113 billion in long-term investment, added to our work on the reforms needed, for example, in our planning system, which many businesses in the room here will be grappling with, perhaps, if not now, then certainly in the future. And also our energy infrastructure, or the commitment to new funding to enable 1.3 million 16 to 19-year-olds to get access to high-quality training opportunities. And given the MT's proud record in training and apprenticeships, I'm sure that is welcome news. Or there's the investment announced in small modular reactors, and the continuing commitment of this government to the green energy transition, or the uplift in defence spending, which local manufacturing giant GE Vernova tells me means that they now have an ambition to recruit hundreds more people to their Rugby site alone. And this is really one of the key points for me, that as we get the economy growing and as we focus on innovation and high-tech manufacturing, there really are dividends for high-skilled jobs and for businesses to expand and develop. So the government is stepping up to the plate to provide the support, the ecosystem, and more that's needed to unleash the potential of our country. And the three recent trade deals with India, with the EU, and with the US. Indeed, as I flicked through the news, I saw Prime Minister Starmer and President Trump signing the UK-US trade deal, and I was wondering perhaps if that Sharpie pen was grabbed by Sakir on the way out for a really good auction, because that really was a moment, I think, where we have signed a very important deal that is going to save, not just save, but save thousands of jobs here in my constituency and across the region in automotive industries. But it's also about the future. And it'll mean huge opportunities locally and also for businesses to expand internationally. Soon we will announce the industrial strategy, and after that an infrastructure plan. And I'm confident that manufacturing, high-tech manufacturing, will be at the heart of this, and I know that organisations involved in this sector have made representations to the government on those points. But responsibility doesn't stop or even start with the government. Clearly, we need a dynamic partnership between the government, skills providers, colleges, universities, and crucially businesses, large, medium and small, that helps our manufacturers, our innovators, to benefit from automation in a way that has not happened before. I look to the audience here, and I know that organisations like the MTC, with conferences like this, are indeed stepping up to the plate, and businesses in this room are also stepping up to the plate, taking your responsibility to advance the case for advanced manufacturing, for innovation, and for automation. And I look forward to hearing about the success stories of companies that have embraced automation that I know that you're going to hear about later today and tomorrow. So in a period when the global trading and geopolitical environment is, how can I put it, volatile, perhaps we should also be considering the opportunities that automation can provide for onshoring of specialist manufacturing, but that's for another time. I certainly want to see more young people deciding to start and build businesses within the Rugby constituency that I have the privilege to represent. And this is an open invitation to any of you here to work with me to achieve this, perhaps through an entrepreneurship hub of some kind, or indeed an offshoot of the MTC in Rugby Town Centre. I, as a local MP, take my responsibility seriously to bang the drum for the local people that I represent, for their skills development and opportunities for them. I want to do that in order to help the local economy, the regional economy, and absolutely the national economy. And I've been percolating my views about automation among my Labour MP colleagues. And I hope to be welcoming some experts in this area into Parliament soon to brief some of my Labour colleagues who meet regularly to discuss economic and industrial policy. I think what you are all doing and what this conference is all about is critically important as the government works out the ways that it can support business through automation and robotics. So I'll leave you now with how I finished my speech in Parliament a couple of months ago. I said, it's not the robots that we should be worried about. It is not building enough of them. I think it's safe to say that we are in the middle of the creation of, willing or otherwise, a new technological, industrial, defence, trading environment. And it's being reforged with the metal still molten. And the need for homegrown advanced manufacturing and innovation is growing, as is the importance of improving productivity and unleashing innovation. I speak up for robots and for automation because they are not the dystopian usurpers of human inspiration and productive labour. They are, in fact, the enablers of it. Thank you very much, folks, for listening to me, and I hope you have a great conference.